Eye of Newt. Ah, good evening, ghosts and ghouls. It's spooky season here at the Watchtower Database. But no tricks up our sleeves, only treats. Today we're talking about mainstay DC Comics superhero Etrigan the Demon. Or is it Etrigan? Etrigan? I don't know. Everyone tells me I say it wrong. A Jack Kirby original who made several appearances in the DC Animated universe, as early as the Batman Adventures comic book into the cartoon world of the new Batman Adventures, Justice League, JLU, and beyond. That's right, you may never have known, but the demon Etrigan encountered Terry McGinnis's Batman not once, but thrice at the time of this recording, including an adventure that occurred on Halloween. So light your seance candles, spread your magic salt circles, and strap in for a spell as we trace every time the demon went beyond the veil.
Has this ever been you? You're minding your own business at the local library and then some medieval witch comes and sucks the youth out of you like a sponge? Well, worry no longer. Despite her name, the villain, being Morgan, you can absolutely utilize today's sponsor, injury law firm Morgan & Morgan.
We're Morgan & Morgan. Whoa.
No, just because I have the Muppets doesn't mean I have to use them. There's no time for this. You never know when you're gonna randomly find yourself in a bad accident and need representation. And in my experience, hunting down a lawyer wherever you live is a daunting task and it costs a ton of money that you don't have. But Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm, makes it really easy. You can do the whole thing from your phone pretty dang quickly. If you're magic blasted across a disco ballroom into a rolling cart, don't just lay there. What if that injury means you can never dance again with Catwoman cosplayers? That's a future I don't want to imagine. Seriously, a lot of the time this stuff is no joke and you have people who care about you. You can submit a claim at the same time as you're grabbing your next iced mocha. Just dial #529, aka pound, or even better, use the link in the description and help support this YouTube channel while you're at it.
Hey, it's not like you can just look them up in the white pages.
That's true? Does that even exist anymore? Do you even know what that is, 18 to 24-year-old watching this video? You don't have to go hunting down a law firm. Morgan & Morgan is all over the country, with staff available to take your message at any time of day.
Yo, Hickman, keep it down. Some of us trying to sleep.
And the best part, you only pay if you win. Otherwise, it's free. I mean, you want to win, but check out that part that says free. You can get a dedicated legal team on your injury case in 8 clicks or less by using our link below. Thanks very much to Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring this video.
Now, to the matter at hand.
I would like to begin by sharing a brief history of the demon.
No! Not now. I feel compelled to... Gone in hellish flames, rise the demon EtriJames!
Greetings, dear viewer. My real form was suppressed. What you see now is truer than the James once possessed. As we recall these times, don't you dare change your screens. I'll make sure these rhymes rate my top scary scenes. You'll find my top 5 list as we witness this watch. Try to resist and get a kick in the crotch.
Oh dear. That's not great. We don't have time for silly top 5 lists. This is a serious video essay. We have a silver play button. This is a sophisticated establishment. Who exactly is the demon Etrigan, and why should you care? You likely recall Etrigan from various episodes of the DCAU, from The Demon Within to A Night of Shadows. But the character goes back way further than that. In 1970, DC Comics publisher Carmine Infantino signed superstar artist Jack Kirby to a DC contract after Kirby had co-created classics for Marvel Comics like the Avengers, X-Men, and Fantastic Four. Kirby famously asked to take on DC's worst-selling book as a challenge to make it its best-selling, and he was given the title of Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, where Kirby launched his original Fourth World saga that wove between his other new series, New Gods, Mr. Miracle, and The Forever People. After a year or two, Kirby wanted to create further new comics that he would supervise and edit before turning them over to other creators. Infantino specifically asked Kirby to come up with a sort of monster character, and when one of them used the word demon, Kirby became fixated on
Etrigan the Demon as a concept. Mark Evanier, who was Kirby's assistant at the time and later his official biographer, revealed further details behind the demon's creation in the Jack Kirby Collector number 86.
The demon was created at a Howard Johnson's restaurant in Thousand Oaks, California. I swear to you, when the entrees came, we all started eating, so we stopped talking. And Jack suddenly said, "There's this guy named Jason Blood." And he told us the whole first issue, the whole concept of the comic, something that any of us who write would have spent a week on, 2 weeks on, getting all the names and the character motivations and who they are right. And Jack had figured it all out between the time I ordered my hot turkey sandwich and the time it arrived.
Enter the Demon number 1, September 1972. Etrigan was summoned by the medieval wizard Merlin to protect King Arthur's Camelot from hordes of attackers led by Morgan Le Fay. But when the castle fell, Merlin transformed the demon into a human, which also led to his immortality. Centuries later, Jason Blood became a demonologist in Gotham City. When Morgan Le Fay resurfaced, Blood came across the poetic chant that allowed him to change into Etrigan. Ever since, he has led a tumultuous and reluctant relationship with the demon, and often tries to suppress the monster within.
It's now my turn to talk. No history lecture. Who'd even dare to balk at me? No conjecture.
Shut up! Put the demon back in the bottle.
Evanier went on to explain that Kirby wanted to get another writer and artist on the demon. Evanier could have been the writer making the book under Kirby's guidance, but when it was pitched to Infantino, Kirby was told to do the first issue himself to set the book's style.
Carmine called him and said, "Hey, this is great. This is going to be a hit. We're going to suspend New Gods and Forever People so you can do this." Jack was devastated by that. He looked like he'd been punched in the face, but he soldiered on and did the demon, and it was a wonderful comic.
The Demon's original run was 16 issues, but there have been several series and miniseries since, as well as a multitude of appearances in other books and storylines, penned by notable writers like Alan Moore, Garth Ennis, Neil Gaiman, Alan Grant, and Peter Milligan, most notably as a lead character in the New 52's Demon Knights and Justice League Dark.
You may have noticed this dude looks goofy as literal hell. Kirby originally based the visual design of Etrigan off a Prince Valiant story by Hal Foster. He had these Hastings House editions of Prince Valiant, and he told me to find the one with the goose head in it. And I found it. He used that as a reference just to inspire him, and he drew what was pretty close to the finished version of the demon right there.
However, I bet you didn't know that Hal Foster possibly lifted this goosehead demon design from a 1922 Swedish film called Häxan by Benjamin Christensen, basically a documentary on witches and witchcraft in which a woman is tortured and accused of being a witch, put on trial, and pressured to confess. The film depicts a scene to visualize the events she describes in what is essentially a witch party, binge drinking with the devil as the devil's grandmother watches over the party like a good chaperone. There's no hard evidence to truly bridge the influence between Häxan and Prince Valiant, but it's easy to see the similarities.
We didn't have the internet then. You kinda just stole from the best, and the best was a bunch of musty old books.
Pardon my intrusion, but I couldn't bear to see attempts at infusion of facts with heresy. Possibly so is not the same as truth. Don't act like you forgot. That would be so uncouth. Those who clicked on this vid would much prefer to view something more on the grid of the DCAU.
Oh, we can totally talk the DCAU. I love the DCAU.
Then waste my time no more or risk me getting bored. I'll fall asleep and snore and you'll just be ignored.
Here, have a pick-me-up.
Ooh.
Wait, you're not a dog, are you?
Do I look like a dog?
I don't know.
Etrigan first met Bruce Wayne's Batman in DCAU continuity through 1994's The Batman Adventures Annual No. 2 by Paul Dini, Glenn Murakami, and Bruce Timm. When Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's, leave me alone, conjures the demon Hawk and spreads plague across the planet, Batman enlists the help of Jason Blood, who has a history with Ra's from 2 centuries past. Blood shares his poetic chant with Batman to cast the spell during the fight and transform Blood into Etrigan, and we get a ton of really cool panels of Kirby-esque beauty and horror. This annual was one of the few tie-in comic books cited by Bruce Timm as being directly brought into the animated series continuity, because it's referenced to set up the events of the new Batman Adventures episode, The Demon Within, the first on-screen appearance of the Demon, where Batman and Robin rescue a possessed Etrigan from the clutches of Clarion the Witch Boy and his anthropomorphic feline familiar, Teakle, who were able to bind the Demon to do their bidding by utilizing the branding iron of Morgan Le Fay.
That's a surprise tool that can help us later.
You know what, that M seal on his forehead, it's understandable if you thought he was maybe a follower of Bobbity. Who is this guy, Majin Etrigan? Come for the DCAU, stay for the DBZ.
I'd say the end more than justifies the means.
Jason Blood also has this coolio little bust in his place where one side is his face and the other side is Etrigan's. It's not important to anything else, I just think it's neat. Jason Blood and Etrigan reappeared for the first season of Justice League in the two-part episode A Night of Shadows, which portrayed Etrigan's origin story, and introduced the villain Morgan Le Fay in the ancient droopy flesh, along with her bratty son Mordred. Batman once again came to Jason Blood seeking his assistance in stopping Le Fay from acquiring the fabled Philosopher's Stone.
The what?
Honestly, don't you two read?
Jason Blood was depicted as one of the Knights of the Round Table, bewitched into false love by Morgan Le Fay and manipulated into Camelot's destruction. As punishment for his betrayal, Merlin bonded Jason Blood to the demon Etrigan, where he'd serve as its host. More of the post-crisis version of his origin story. And you know, in the spirit of Halloween, really need to get the wiring fixed in here. A Night of Shadows was one of the only on-screen instances of Halloween in the entire DC animated universe.
Before this All Hallows Eve ends, the world will be yours.
The only other Halloween moment was in Almost Got Him, when Poison Ivy did hobgoblin tricks and Batman tried to run her over with the Batmobile. Etrigan went on to cameo in Justice League Unlimited, now an official member of the League himself, seen in the background on the Watchtower a few times, and featured prominently, albeit in baby form, in Kid Stuff, where Mordred banishes all adults to another dimension and several Leaguers de-age themselves in order to return to Earth and defeat the little jackass. Baby Etrigan was still a formidable foe with a formidable diaper load, and chomped on the amulet, which propelled a magical shockwave across the world and returned everything back to normal. And a bit lesser known, Etrigan was also featured in a few issues of the questionably canon JLU comic book. Like this time he's in the infamous Purple Chair Room. We never saw this place in the show, what else would you call it? And notably issue 14, where he accompanies other supernatural DC characters to retake Limbo from the Demons 3, one of which was voiced by Wayne Knight in the cartoon. So it's basically angels and demons versus Newman, and that's worth mentioning.
You really shouldn't go in there.
But 40 years from now, whenever now is, which at this point is less than 20, it doesn't matter. Although in the episode Revenant, old man Bruce Wayne recalls encountering
demons, witch boys, immortals, zombies.
The demon never actually appeared in this animated series.
After all that build-up, do you mean to say this topic setup won't even see the light of day? I came here to learn about Batman Beyond, but it seems like a burn if the demon absconds. I was all set for my top 5 scary rankings. Now I'd rather die or settle for spankings.
I'm not going to spank you. But don't worry, Etrigan was in several Batman Beyond comics. Like I mentioned up top, he met Terry McGinnis on 3 separate occasions.
Tie-in comics are fine if they've got Batman in, but on your bones I'll dine if they do not canon.
Good. No pressure then. The first instance occurred in Batman Beyond Volume 1, Number 4, written by Hilary J. Bader with art by Joe Staton. The first 2 issues of this volume adapted the cartoon's premiere episode, but the remainder were all new original stories.
When a computer geek from Terry's school named Preston Leeds uses an upload of Merlin's medieval book of spells from the Library of Congress archives, he inadvertently transforms into the demon Axolano, who's like purple Etrigan. Now that Axolano has escaped the gates of hell, he wreaks havoc across Neo-Gotham. Terry McGinnis and his girlfriend Dana catch wind of him at the zoo.
EtriJames loves the zoo. Such a scary land. Better than a well-timed boo is a wrecked hot dog stand. This moment must be part of my top 5 frights list. Like a Wiener street card, one just cannot resist.
Do you have to rhyme? Can you stop?
Sure, I guess so.
Seriously, it's so... What?
Etrigan was a rhyming demon, I just do it for fun.
Oh. I had this whole spiel about how annoying it must be and how difficult it would be to write that into a script or something to continue to do your dialogue as rhyme. That would be very helpful.
Happy to oblige.
You know, speaking of the Watchtower Database's own Ted Kendrick, he got a copy of this issue back in the day from a Jell-O yogurt giveaway. You just had to send in the offer on specially marked boxes of Jell-O. Yes, we truly had better childhoods than you. What are you gonna do about it?
Anyway, Terry ditches Dana like always. Hashtag Dana deserves better. Puts on his bat suit and attempts to stop Axolano from feeding on the souls of some lions.
Slimy? It's satisfying.
As they fight, Axolano makes his way into the gorilla exhibit, where the monster hits an ape, and Terry recognizes a bully no matter the shape or size. Axolano retreats to regain his strength, and the gorilla gives Batman a big ol' thank you smooch. Now that's hot.
What? Don't look at me like that.
I physically cannot look at you. We swap places every time, but the editor cuts out the horrific demonic transformation for the audience's sake. You shouldn't be attracted to gorillas.
Preston never intended to summon Axolano. He's playing with forces he doesn't understand and fears there is nothing he can do to stop Axolano from his rampage. Back at the Batcave, Terry fills in Bruce on what occurred, who gives Terry an address where he will meet someone who has what he needs to deal with magic. Terry arrives at Jason Blood's apartment, suspicious about the truth behind occult matters, but Blood's use of security cameras shows that he is well versed in the practical world as well. Terry learns that Axolano and Blood share a history. They met long ago before Merlin banished Axolano into purgatory. Terry also eyes a strange photo depicting Blood and young Bruce Wayne, but we know it's no trick photography. Blood casts a spell and they visualize Axolano's demon energy in the evocation flames, where Terry recognizes Preston. They then meet up with Kyle, a physics and computer science college student. Batman Beyond's animated series guide from DK Publishing describes Kyle as Jason Blood's young friend, his Robin, if you will.
His young friend? I don't have a name anymore?
Kyle has engineered a demonic energy nullifier, like a bug zapper for demons, and gives 5 of the zappers to Batman and Blood to use in a pentagram to trap Axolano and separate the demon from its host.
Yo, demon bug zappers are shway. They totally belong on my top 5 list, but I'm gonna hold off a second till I can see these suckers in action.
Preston feels a rumbly in his demonic tumbly and dismisses himself from class to the restroom, where Axolano emerges and senses that his ancient enemy is near. Jason Blood secures the school gym with a Jedi mind trick, sets the demon bug zappers in a pentagram formation, and then recites the changing transformation.
Gone the form of man. If he can't do it, no one can. Just look at that wonderful transformation scene. When Blood says, "Rise the demon," the panel kind of rises as well. It's very shway.
I don't think shway works for you.
Oh, what? Why?
It's like, what, you're a few thousand years old? You can't really pull off Gen Alpha slang.
What if time is cyclical and we're inventing the slang right now?
Proceed.
Shway.
Axolano quickly attacks Etrigan over his ancient hate and jealousy. He was once Merlin's favorite, but Etrigan was chosen to protect humanity instead. Axolano doesn't think it's a fair fight with 2 against 1, so he separates from Preston, who joins in the fight out of mind control. Kyle stands by on the demon zapper controls, just waiting for Etrigan and Batman to push Axolano into the pentagram. But when they do, Etrigan and Axolano are both nearly pulled apart. Etrigan shelters within Blood just in time for Kyle to complete the demon zapper trap, and Axolano is drawn into the pentagram.
I was totally right. Demon bug zappers rock. In my top 5 it might go, so don't be in shock.
Yup, you said you would stop rhyming.
Demons lie. Verb. It's what we do.
In order to relieve Preston out of his mind control by Axolano, Terry lands a punch across the boy's face and knocks him out. When he wakes up, he'll only remember the adventure as a nightmare, but one he'll never forget. Axolano has been trapped in a man-made digital dimension, engineered by Kyle, from which he will not escape, perhaps for an eternity.
After the 6-issue miniseries, Batman Beyond's 2nd volume ran for 4 times that long, with Etrigan returning for issue number 14, also written by Bader, with art by Mines Ku, titled "May Flights of Demons Sing Thee to Thy Rest," which references a line from Hamlet. This one's even a Halloween story. In fact, it's the only DCAU tie-in comic Halloween story, unless you count Batman Scooby-Doo Halloween Fest from 2012, which was just a bunch of reprints and none of them were Halloween stories, but still, when a gnarly green demon interrupts setup for an upcoming Halloween party, Batman springs into action. Sound like an action figure commercial. Demon destroying Batman comes with everything you see here. The demon came from the hell of dreams or nightmares and cannot exist in the daylight. With dawn coming soon, he transforms into a snake and bites Batman on the arm, then disintegrates into dust. That night, Terry's dreamscape, not to be confused with the BTAS episode Dreams in Darkness, which is not called Dreamscape, is invaded by the demon. The demon conjures a swarm of bees.
No, not the bees! Not the bees!
But Terry dreams himself a bat suit with a built-in bug zapper. But not like the magical ones from before, just a normal one. A normal dreamscape bat suit bug zapper. Terry's mom and brother Matt wake him up from sleepwalking, batting away the dream bees with his pillow, and warn that he's going to be late for school. Terry naturally goes to see Jason Blood instead, who notes that Terry has been marked by the demon Alkazar, right where the snake bite was. Jason has the cool little head bust thing still too. Dude's got sentimentality, I'll give him that. But hey, he's got a nice new 2040s era shirt that he swapped from the turtleneck. For an immortal, he was kinda slow to get with the clothing trends, but he got there eventually. Blood explains that Alkazar's spirit energy has invaded Terry's dreams, and with enough time, will take control of them. Jason demands that Terry stay awake, for if Terry goes back to sleep, he will not wake back up, but Alkazar will in his place, leaving Terry trapped in his dreamscape instead.
You know, this whole situation feels very Freddy Krueger-ish. Perhaps Robert Englund could have voiced Alkazar in animation, if he wasn't already the voice of Felix Faust. Come to think of it, he would have been a great Dr. Destiny. Why are there so many Freddy Kruegers in the DCAU?
Top 5 Freddy Kruegers list, you say?
I did not.
So anyway, it's now the night before Halloween, and Blood has an ancient contract with Etrigan that promises that night to the demon, to do whatever he wants. Someone should have reminded Keith Dameron about this when he wrote A Night of Shadows. Terry must stay with Etrigan throughout the night, because the demon may be his only hope to save mankind from Alkazar. Also, if you've ever wondered how many bong rips it takes to transform into a demon, wonder no longer. It's 7. Etrigan appears in a rhyming frenzy. Terry tries his hand at poetry as well, but Etrigan isn't impressed, and he explains that he wouldn't rhyme if he didn't have to do it, though he tries to rhyme laughter with hafta, which is a bit of a stretch, unless you're Harley Quinn or something.
I'd like to see you attempt some rhymes. If you do it, I might stop sometimes.
Sure, EtriJames, I'm up for the challenge. I can play your games without any challenge.
What the hell is an allonge? That's not a word.
An allonge is a piece of paper occasionally attached to a negotiable instrument for the signing of endorsements. It's the only thing that rhymes with challenge that I could think of.
You could have picked an easier word. That's like trying to rhyme with orange.
Look, I'm not Eminem, all right? I'm not a miracle worker.
M&M's, you say?
So Etrigan and Batman go out on the town, where Etrigan intercepts some costumed tricksters spray painting a message on the wall. It seems to say, Iige Riba, like maybe Dan Riba? Google Translate says Iige Riba is Riba here in Kannada, previously known as Kannarese, which is a Dravidian language spoken predominantly by the people of Karnataka in southwestern India. Is this a really deep cut Riba was here? Artist Minescu was on Dan's Justice League storyboarding team for a bit, so anything's possible. Etrigan then causes mischief in a park. He interrupts a couple from smooching and then steals a horse from a patrolman who chases after the demon, but then Etrigan jumps on him and ratatouilles the guy through the park. Bruce checks on Terry, who is tired but confident he will make it to midnight. So far, Etrigan hasn't done anything so bad that he had to get involved, but as soon as he says that, Etrigan interrupts traffic by taking over a toll booth, now a troll booth. Etrigan and Batman find a man about to jump off a bridge before Etrigan pushes him off himself.
What could be more evil? I surely can't decide than such cruel upheaval of this man's suicide.
Yeah, that's pretty dark. It seems like Etrigan was trying to keep the man from an eternity in hell by turning the suicide into a murder? I don't know. It's still a very weird moment. But Batman saves the guy.
A moment, though. Maybe a top 5 scary one. You won't stop me from this. I'll have my time. You'll see. I'll still share my list of things that are scary.
I'm sure you can find a better example in this issue, please.
I really liked that Ratatouille guy in the park.
Etrigan is upset by Batman's intervention, ruining his fun, so he claps his hands together and magically puts Terry to sleep, a trick he claims to have learned from Morpheus, aka Neil Gaiman's Sandman. Paul Dini famously wanted to pen a Sandman episode for Batman the Animated Series, but Alan Burnett shot down the pitch. And if you want to hear more about that, watch our videos on BTAS Lost Episodes after this one. Of course, this is the moment Alkazar was waiting for. Alkazar transforms Batman into an actual bat and then into Terry McGinnis, though seemingly much less violently than when Floaty Mandragora did it in Mind Games. Jason Blood is also in Terry's dreamscape to help and coach Batman through the demonic mental attack. Etrigan carries Batman's sleeping body through the Gotham streets, but Terry wakes up, his body now fully possessed by Alkazar. Alkazar phases within Etrigan, now invading his dreams like an Inception version of those Russian dolls. As Batman emerges back into the real world, Jason Blood urges him to either control Etrigan or destroy him. Etrigan explains that Alkazar is now inside him, intentionally sent after Jason Blood. If Alkazar can defeat him, then Etrigan is forever free to wander each night as if it were always Halloween, and he really likes that idea. But as the clock nears its 12th bong— oh, wait, it's 12? Terry fights Etrigan and keeps the demon distracted to try and run the time out until midnight. Elsewhere in Blood's dreamscape, he and Alkazar battle, but Blood has the upper hand since he wears a convenient anti-Alkazar amulet. If Alkazar can't possess Blood, he instead attempts to take refuge within Etrigan, but Batman binds him with his gadgets, specially enhanced by Blood to have more effect against demons. Alkazar takes over Etrigan just in time for a magical batarang. Etrigan shatters himself free of Alkazar as the clock strikes midnight. Terry chants a little zany twist on the ancient rhyme that transforms Etrigan back into Jason Blood. Terry recalls how after their first adventure together, he knew magic and the occult were not his strengths, but blood is the best there is. Terry finally returns home for some much-needed rest, but Matt scares him awake with the demon mask, and as Terry yells, "Get out, dweeb, and not another peep! You'll be real sorry if I don't get some sleep," he thinks he may be a poet yet.
I've heard better poems, that is certainly true, but yours have been ho-hum while mine always come through.
Ho-hum? How dare you? That's the meanest thing you've ever said to me!
I could be meaner.
Now I know you're raring to get trick-or-treating, so let's wrap this up with the final Terry Demon crossover from 2012, when DC got serious about their Beyond books and relaunched Batman Beyond alongside the rest of the New 52, in its own Earth 12 continuity alongside the likes of Superman Beyond and Justice League Beyond. The first arc of JL Beyond was an epic love letter to Jack Kirby called Constriction, with a K, which propelled the familiar Justice League Unlimited, you know, Superman, Big Barda, Aquagirl, Warhawk, Cairo, and Micron, against a worldwide calamity from the cult of Cobra, with a K, which also included Kirby staples like the New Gods and cameos from the likes of the Challengers of the Unknown, Omak Kamandi, with a K, and of course, Etrigan the Demon. Bruce leads Terry to a dark part of the Batcave where he hands him an ancient book and an ash can to use against Cobra's prophesied serpent god as a last resort in Earth's final hour. He instructs Terry to spread the ash in a circle, open the book, and recite the marked passage, but opts to not tell Terry what to expect. Terry examines the book since he's only read vid screens or holodiscs and can't find the charging port. But it's just a joke. I think. Look, I've got an iPad kid who's gonna graduate the exact year Batman Beyond starts. I wouldn't be surprised. The next chapter, Earth's final hour arrives, so Terry does as instructed. He spreads the circle, recites the passage, and oh boy, Etrigan bursts out the batsuit, and Terry's skin suit to boot. It is pretty shway to see Terry as the demon, but Bruce really should have warned the kid. I always had this image burnt into my head of the demon being in the story, and the wild idea of having him come tearing out of Terry himself. It would be one of those large WTF type moments, and then it was just a matter of finding out how that would work and fit into the story in a logical way. With Etrigan, you never know what to expect, if he'll help or hinder the heroes.
I agree, Mr. Friedolfs. This scene you cannot beat. A top 5 list without it would be incomplete.
As for the story itself, we had been looking forward to these last chapters ever since we brainstormed up the original pitch, a way to bring in one final Kirby creation, Etrigan the Demon, and his famous rhyming dialogue, which seems to come and go depending on who has written the character over the years.
Rhyming dialogue comes, it's famous in design. Only fat lazy bums would allow its resign.
Speaking of which, you've been scarfing down so much candy this entire time. Where do you put it?
Trick or treat, smell my feet!
Superman confronts Etrigan and asks if either Jason Blood or Terry are there, but neither of those fools hold any sway as the demon lands a punch on the Man of Steel. Superman convinces Etrigan that the flying serpent is his enemy and thinks it's better than him, the true King of Fire, which is enough to propel Etrigan into action to prove the serpent wrong. The serpent hisses acid spit on Etrigan, but it has no effect against the Hellspawn. The demon jumps into the mouth of the big snake and cheerfully rips its fangs from its jaw.
Such a badass move. Why did I limit myself to just 5 when there's more every minute?
Ah! Are you writing in my book?
Superman directs the demon to attack the serpent with a full blast of hellfire. Though Etrigan doesn't like being told what to do, he unleashes his power, which roasts the serpent, sending it toppling onto the Watchtower. Etrigan asserts that he's here to stay now that he's saved the day, while Superman flies off to investigate an emergency beeping, signaling the tragic death of Jimmy Olsen, killed in the collapse.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
With the enemy defeated, Etrigan stands around the rest of the heroes, disgusted by the reunion between Big Barda and her husband, Mr. Miracle. The distraction allows Bruce Wayne to sneak up on the demon, holding the iron brand of Morgan Le Fay. He recites the banishing chant, and Terry returns to the world. Bruce wraps him in Superman's old cape, only there was no yellow S on Superman's cape in the DCAU, and this one is way too big.
Not canon.
Bruce is able to release Etrigan from Terry using a familiar tool from the Batman animated series episode The Demon Within. Definitely one of my favorite episodes, and it was nice to be able to use it here as a nod to that show.
Bruce leads Terry away from the battle and explains the logic behind using Etrigan. Bruce deduced that the serpent's weakness was fire, since it had kept a distance from the fire pits on Apokolips earlier in the story, so a fire-breathing demon made sense as the perfect final weapon. Bruce knew it was a long shot, but they had Jason Blood, still hanging on to that old head bust, to thank. Bruce shares how Jason was eventually able to break the demon's curse before his death, and it was actually Jason's ashes that Terry had used to conjure the demon again. But without a cursed soul to tether it as an aid to humanity, the risk was that Etrigan might permanently bond to Terry. Bruce thinks it was worth it, though he wasn't the one with brimstone breath.
Come on, it's not that bad. Kinda smells like chocolate.
Jason Blood's fate is left a little more ambiguous. The character's history in the comics and his animated appearance have always shown his curse of being bonded to Etrigan. How he was able to break away from that fate is a story left to be told. And would that story be told? Nope. In fact, Friedolf's had many story arcs in mind for Justice League Beyond that never saw fruition because of the book's relaunch into the 2.0 series. Let us know if you'd enjoy a video going over those untold plans with you, and what do you think of Jason Blood's happy ending? But that's not the question of the day. That's going to be, if Jason Blood had to relinquish Etrigan to another DC character as his host, who would you want that to be? Please answer in the form of a rhyme.
A new choice for a host, if I were to beguile, would best befit the most Jason's young friend, Kyle.
Not a bad idea for an Etrigan Beyond. It would be cool to see more of Kyle somewhere.
That was totally Kyle!
Totally!
That's all for today, ladies and gentle demons.
No! We are not finished. I was promised this time. I won't be diminished. Now listen to my rhyme.
All right, you can share your damn top 5 list. Just spare us the poetry we don't have all day.
Okie dokie. As I've hinted throughout this video, I've determined the top 5 scariest moments from the Batman Beyond and Etrigan the Demon team-ups. Y'all ready for this? Number 5, the Demon Bug Zapper Pentagram. How cool. Buy one now for a limited time only on the Watchtower Database merch store.
That's not true. We aren't selling those.
Number 4, Etrigan tears the teeth off the flying serpent. Totally sick. 10 out of 10. Would ride again.
That's a rhyme. Stop it.
Number 3, Axolano wrecks a hot dog stand, but he probably saved people from eating them and spending hours in the bathroom, going to the bathroom.
No. Hot dogs are delicious.
Do you know what hot dogs are made of?
That's not what this video is about. Finish the list.
Number 2, Etrigan horse rides the patrolman's horse, and then Ratatouille rides the patrolman.
Yes, that was hilarious.
And finally, number 1, when Terry scatters Jason Blood's ashes and transforms himself into Etrigan the Demon to save the world from the flying serpent. So totally shway.
You happy with yourself, EtriJames? You turned a perfectly respectable video essay into a mind-numbing WatchMojo regurgitation. You are the worst.
I feed off your hate like a cart full of hot dogs. which are made of pig buttholes.
Begone, begone, O EtriJames! Resume once more my legal names!
Well, it's like Bruce said to Terry, we've all got demons inside of us. Both EtriJames and I hope you enjoyed this video. There's a brand new t-shirt in the merch store to go along with it. Gone, gone the form of man. If he can't do it, no one can. With Gotham City demons on the back. It's a foam finger. It's funny. It's a joke. Please subscribe so you don't miss any other upcoming videos from the Watchtower Database or giveaways or things like that. You never know what kind of random shit we're gonna pull out of our ass for these things. And thanks again to Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring this video, as well as all our Patreon supporters. Check us out at patreon.com/DCAU Watchtower. There's a lot of cool stuff going on over there all the time. Behind the scenes peeks and exclusive hangouts with us on Zoom. And there's a ridiculous tier where we'll go to your house and cook you spaghetti. Like, we'll show up and cook spaghetti in your house. It won't be good spaghetti. I mean, it'll be edible. You know, sometimes YouTube flags our stuff for copyright and it gets demonetized. And then I think about the etymology of that word. Demonetized. When did demons get involved with our finances? You know, future generations will study the English language and have fun with that one. Demonetization. All right, bye. Fuck.